Well, good evening, and welcome. I want to thank you so much for joining me this evening on the in review. Look at some of the top news. I guess I have to decline every person who comes on, who's trying to get on live on the Instagram, the TikTok. I want to thank those who are joining me on YouTube, those who are joining me on Facebook, those who are joining me on Instagram, and especially those joining me on YouTube. And I invite everyone to come over onto YouTube and let's get into the discussion as to what are some of the breaking things happening. And I'm hopefully to get Mr. Uh, Reverend Gary Graham, to join me later because there are some really interesting breaking news which are happening out there. But let's get the ball rolling. Thank you. Well, good evening, and thank you for joining me on my show, the Silburn Show in review, where we look at some of the top news or some of the breaking news which are happening in the UK and maybe worldwide. As Gary reminded me that there are so many breaking things which are happening in the world. One of the first thing which I saw, one of the recent breaking news, is that Diane Abbott is suspended again. Dan Abbott is suspended again. Abbott suspended by Labour Party after comments about the R word. Got to be careful about with TikTok if TikTok will pick up these things. But Dan Abbott being suspended again, and also at the same time you have four MPs where the whip was removed from because they did not support the government. And one of the things which I was talking about this morning was where does the loyalty lie? Does the loyalty lies with the MPs to their constituents, or the loyalty lies to with the MPs to the government, the executive? Where does the loyalty lie? And I was going to break it down with my sort of analysis a bit later. I sort of break it down today while I was in the park. Uh, I think a while ago, I just saw some breaking news a while ago whereby there's been an accident, and what it says here. The breaking news: police say one child unalive in Muirhead school crash. Police say one child is unalive after a bus carrying school pupils crashed on a rural road in Exmoor, Somerset, around 3 o'clock British Standard Time. Even and some of the police have said that between 60 and 70 people were traveling on the bus at the time of the crash. A number of those on board have been taken to hospital with serious injuries, including two children. Most passengers are at a rest center that had been established at a nearby pub, and parents of the students who attend Minehead Middle School are being asked to gather at the school. This is a breaking news, and it is developing as well. I think it is one of the things when parents allow their children, of course, to go on trips. It is something which is a challenging thing, which they tend to be very wary of, and really trusting the schools, trusting the drivers that their children will come back to them alive and well. And you know, my condolences to the one child who passed away, and hopefully a speedy recovery to the other children as well. Um, the one of the top. Let's go into Dynabot actually. Um, Dan Abbott, and I'll put her picture up there because that is one of the breaking news which is out there now. And Dan Abbott is now, which is called the mother of the house. Yeah, that's what she called. Gary will come on later. Dan Abbott is now deemed to be the mother of the house. Abbott suspended by Labour Party after comments about racism. Right, and one of the things about this is that the question is asked: why was Dan Abbott suspended today from the Labour Party? Yeah. And he said Dan Abbott's suspension from the party, which today, 17th of July 2025, Diana Abbott was suspended from the Labour Party today after she reiterated in a BBC interview her previous controversial comments about the nature of racism and stood by remarks that had allegedly already led her to her earlier suspension in 2023. If you recall, she was suspended, and there was questions whether she was going to be running again as a member of the parliamentary party members for the Labour Party. And of course, after push and many people come out and you know what should I say, campaigning, demonstrating, they allowed her in. I know Diana Abbott personally. She said, "Hi, Silper. How are you, Silper?" We're on the other side of the fence politically still, but we have a great respect for her. Um, yeah, you know. But the background to this is that in 2023, Abbott was suspended for writing a letter to the Observer, suggesting that the racism experienced by people of color was different from and in some ways more severe than that experienced by the Jews, the Irish, and traveler communities. She argued that the latter groups were subject to prejudice, similar to but distinct from racism, which led to widespread criticism for appearing to downplay anti Semitism. I wonder what TikTok say about these things. Is there any community guidelines by saying the R word? And what happened today is that during a BBC radio interview broadcast today, Abbott was asked whether she regretted her early remarks, and she replied, "No, no, not at all," restating her view that racism based on skin color is different from other forms of racism. What do you say about that? Yeah, some people say that how do you distinguish, how do you guide, how do you define, how do you construct the term racism? She argued that one can easily identify a black person based on sight, whereas one cannot identify a Jew or a traveler person so easily, and said, and these are the words she said: "I just think that it's silly to try and claim that racism, which is about skin color, is the same as other types of racism. I don't know why people would say that." So the Labour Party seem to be very quick these days to just, I guess because they have so much MPs, they're so quick to suspend people, they're quick to take away the whip from them, quick to boot them out as well. There's issues which are happening now in Southwark, Labour Party group in a council down there. The Labour Party quickly announced that Abbott was being administratively suspended pending an investigation, meaning she loses the Labour whip in the House of Commons and is effectively an independent MP during the investigation. So she's gone back now to the same where she was before, you know, as an independent, you know. But at the same time, she was an independent before the election because she and Corbyn, and she was readmitted back after the apology and, of course, maybe some course or whatever like that. But she has doubled down, she has doubled down. So Abbott's remark provoked, as they say, criticism from Labour leadership and groups representing Jewish and tribal communities. Labour reiterated its stance of having no place for anti Semitism in the party and said it takes such matters very, very seriously. Abbott has defended her records on fighting racism through her career, but maintained her belief in distinction between forms of prejudice, which led to today's disciplinary action. Question I put to you is, what do you say about that? Has she got a point? Is she being mischievous? Should she just, what do I say, behave? Is that what it behave or what? I mean, World War II studies is one of my hobbies. Um, but we're not talking about World War II now, same guy in Toronto. You need to break that down. Um, is it because of the alluding to Jews? You know, World War II study is one of my hobbies. Yeah, what do you say about that? So yeah, so let me see. To the tune of 4 million, I think our comment. Okay, okay, I see what you say. I think our comments were insensitive. Yes. Yeah, sometimes they say you can skin a cat. How do you skin a cat? You know, and I think with um I think with Dan about at the same time. She's getting up there. She's getting up there, and I was surprised that she actually stood again. I think maybe at certain times people may need to step down or so, but that is left up to them because there's no age that stops someone from keep being an MP unless there are certain uh, medical defects they have. I met recently a gentleman who was one of the last members of parliament, one of the last minister in Margaret Thatcher's uh, cabinet, and Norman Tibbet was one of them. Passed away recently, and I think maybe he could be one of the only. Could be maybe well, no. There's Ken Clark, which is around still, and there is Peter Bottomley. They're around, so there are a few persons who are around. But I guess being an MP is one. So it's a very interesting period of time in regards to this whole thing with Abbott. I wonder what the community will say about this now. I wonder what the community is going to be saying about this, because when Diane Abbott was suspended recently, a lot of ladies came out and they actually demonstrated in regards to this, and they said she was being what should I say, racialized in a way as a result. It'd be very interesting to hear what people have to say in regards to this at this time. So that's a very interesting way to look at it. But it'd be good to hear what person's views are and what you have to say about this. And the next thing also is that Labour, and I believe that most political parties are guilty of this in a way. They suspend 4 rebel MPs. They call them rebel MPs. Rebel. I remember in Jamaica there was some members of parliament or so. They switched or they went somewhere else, and I think Siaga said, "You guys need to sing a Sankey and make your way home." You know, sing a Sankey and find your way home. That is what they had to do. Sing a Sankey and find their way home. You know. Let me see. Hey Gary, how you doing? Well, welcome, Mister Gary Graham. How are you doing today? I think. Can you hear me? Oh, you're frozen. You're in cyberland. You're in
I'm not
cyberspace.
doing too badly, I can hear you, but you seem to be you're frozen.
I'm
Let me
frozen.
let me go out. Let me go in and come out back, or come out
Okay.
and
Okay.
come
Okay. No.
in because you're
Okay.
frozen.
Yes. Yes. Uh, Gary says I'm frozen, but I believe he's the one who's frozen because I'm looking at the thing here, and I think he's the one which is frozen as well. Yeah. So Gary's my guess. We're gonna have a conversation as well, but there they are. 3 MPs. There are 4 MPs who were recently, uh, you know, the whip was removed from them from the Labour Party because they did not vote to the government. So the question that I want to put today is this, and we'll sort of reflect and go back to maybe Dan about with Gary's views. But are members of parliament, and this is a big question, are members of parliament, whether Jamaica, whether wherever, are members of parliament, should they be more loyal to their constituents, or should they be loyal or more loyal or whatever to the government that they are part of, the party ticket that they're under? Where does the loyalty lies? Because a government, in a way, have a ticket, and they run on a particular ticket and they run with a particular plan. And all MPs are so they win, you know, or they run on this particular ticket. I believe there's a collective level of responsibility when members of parliament, when persons put themselves forward to run as an MP. There's a level of collective responsibility that means that that is what they are signing up to. That is different from when they are, you know, mem- mi- ministers, they're around the cabinet table, and the collective responsibility will be enacted there, and they've got to work with that. You know, um, let me see something there. Thank you for those joining me on TikTok. Thank you for those joining me on YouTube. Thank you for those joining me on Facebook. It'd be great if you share the videos as much as possible. I want to thank you, Matser. Uh, I'm actually going to be staying beyond this after the 1 hour. I'll be I'll still stay on TikTok for maybe an hour after as well, just to have some conversation and to invite guests as well. That would be great. So in the meantime, take advantage of the opportunity to like the video, to share the live, take advantage of the opportunity to follow each other and to grow your community and to build, and to give value, which is one of the most important thing, giving value to each other. That is it. Yeah. So let yeah. So yeah, you said something here. Um, same guy in Toronto. I'm 25% Jewish. My grandmother's family had to flee Germany with nothing but the clothes on their backs. This MP should be permanently evicted from the party. You see, referring to Diana, but permanently evicted. I believe the deputy prime minister or the was very concerned when she was not included in the leading up to the election, and she was one of those persons who were an advocate of her coming in back. But I believe that her she's a bit concerned this time, and the level of support somewhat is not there. Let me just bring him back, Gary. Same guy in Toronto. Is out of many one people. Gary, how are you? Is it better
Not
now?
bad. Not bad.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
much better. I don't know. Um, they usually say at times that whenever you're going on things like this, you should power down all the way down and then power back up. And my computer's been on all day, so I
So
think
so
that
have
may
you?
have been
So,
the
so
problem.
I guess you powered down. You had all this power in you. Yes.
Well, yours is still powerful, so I
So
had to
well,
kind
I
of bring
don't
mine
know.
up to your speed.
Well, I think we're still having some sort of glitches there at the same time. So
Are
I
you
pull
there?
back some. I pull back some of the power so your power can come up. Yeah. Yeah, we're having some sort of freezing moment at the same time, Gary.
I think
It's some sort of freezing moment.
I think we're
Can
having a problem here, because
Yes, I can say very confidently
are you
that
there?
yes, I'm here. I can say very confidently, Gary, that it is something from your power side. It's something from your power. So we need to bring your power up. Yeah, I I think you may need to do a reset of what it was last week. The last time you came on, do a level of reset. Yeah, because you're sort of frozen at the same time, Gary. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, yeah, Gary, you can keep talking and you can keep. Hey, invite Toyodol. Hey, how are you? Saffron, how you doing? I don't. You back? Should I say welcome back or I don't know? Yeah, I don't know if you're back in this country or so. Gary, speak, Gary. Let's get rolling. Gary, Gary, you're not with me. Gary, you're not with me, Gary. Rockstone, Matt Boy House. Gary, you'll have to wheel and come again. You'll
I'm
have
here, but you seem to be
Yeah. Gary, you'll have to wheel and come again. You'll have to wheel and come again, as they say in Jamaica. You'll have to wheel and come again because it is not. You're not.
you sure?
You're not. In your throat. You're being. You're. I can say confidently it is from your side because I'm looking at my other screen and I can see the YouTube. It is okay. Oh, you're no. You're okay. You're there now. You're moving now. You're there. Yes. Gary, speak. Speak, Gary.
Okay.
Speak. Speak, Gary. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Gary's is touch and go. Anyway, the whole thing about let's deal with this. Let's deal with this thing about and it'd be great to hear a person's views on where does the loyalty lies, you know? Where does the loyalty lies? How do I get this thing in? Where does the loyalty lies? It's not coming on. Yeah. Let me see if I can get it. I need to get the picture in. Image. Where does the loyalty lies? There we go. Okay. Yeah. Where does the loyalty lies? When you have members of parliament who somewhat vote against the government, and as what they would say, we vote in line with our constituents. I do remember Dennis Skinner always gets sometime booted out of the house. I do remember Reverend Ian Paisley from Ireland. Someone sometimes get roughed out of the house by Betty Boothroyd. But one of the things he said one time is that I am here because of my constituents, because of the people who has put me in. That's what he said. That's the reason why he's here. But then at the same time, I look at it in another way. I look at it another way that you always remember this. You remember this? You always remember this that persons always say this. This is what people always say. I'm sorry for the MPs who lost their seat. They were good MPs, and as a result of the tide, they lost their seat. So I'm very sorry. That's what some MPs happen to be, and so therefore there's a particular tide which actually goes, and when that sort of tide goes there, let me see if I can find something. I find something here which sort of sets it out very clearly. Oh, and by the way, 16 and 17-year-old will be able to vote in the next general election. Who is going to benefit from that? You know, 16 and 17-year-old um, is going to be actually voting in. Oh, yeah, let me see. Gary is back. Gary is back. Let me see. Yes, Gary, are you back? You sound you're looking great now.
Well, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, my brother. But anyway,
Well,
let's just
let's make
continue. Just go ahead.
yes, yeah. Well, I first just wanted your reflections on Dan Abbott. Yeah, what's your reflections on Dan Abbott being removed from the parliamentary party? Let me see.
Well, I mean, the I'm not surprised. I'm really not
Mm,
surprised by this action because if you notice that in the last general election, I think they wanted her out, and for whatever
yeah.
reason, Starmer doesn't seem to want Abbott at all. I mean, he's the leader of the government of the Labour Party, and if
Yes.
there's any support that should come from anywhere within a party, it's from the leadership, and he's not
Mm,
showing any. He hasn't shown Dan Abbott any support, any support. It's as if sorry to say he doesn't want any ethnic minority individual to be around him.
you think
Sad to
so?
say, and that is the problem with the Labour Party over these years. Over these years, who has put what's all of this up here?
No,
Silver.
don't worry.
I'm not
I'm
talking
getting.
about
I'm
these
getting.
guys
Yeah, yeah.
here.
I'm trying to get it off. Get it off. You
Over
keep
these
talking. Yeah.
years,
Mm,
over these years, the it is the BME community that has placed the Labour Party in and out of government. We
Mm,
always, when I say we, not me, but the BAME or the BME community has always voted for the Labour Party. The Labour Party has
yes.
not done anything for us, and we are now seeing what they're doing. They're trying to etch out Diane Abbott, who is, they say, she's the mother of the
She
house.
yeah, yeah, she's the mother of the house
I
now.
mean, they
Yes.
should be happy that she's a part of the Labour Party, but they're not
Yes.
supporting.
Mm,
Yeah, so I don't seem to know what's going on with them. I mean, I don't trust Starmer anyway, because he's done so many U-turns. He doesn't even know which direction he's heading. Really.
yes. 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 Is as a matter of fact, one of the things one of the things with Starmer, I think many people are saying they don't know what he stands for. You know, they don't know actually what he stands for. You know what I mean, Gary?
Well,
At the
well,
same
I
time.
mean, who knows what he stands for?
Mm, yeah. They one of the things though, what they say about Diana, but though is that the same reason why she is suspended is because she doubled down on the same issue why she was suspended before. That's one of the reasons that they give for her. And I think in a way they are looking for ways now. This could be the way of getting her out, if anything. But I wonder if being the mother of the house, if she still retained the mother of the house, based on her seniority at the same time. Yeah. But anyway, just move from Dan about. And I was trying to look at these different guys. It's gone now. I was trying to get, yeah, these three guys. What do you think about the four MPs which were suspended? They were suspended because they went against government directive. And Starmer position is this. Starmer said, and I found a video where he said this. I don't know where the video is. Here
In
it is. Here's
1997, when 47 MPs voted against Tony Blair's welfare plans, not a single one had the whip removed. He, like you, had a massive majority, but unlike you, he just didn't feel the need to punish MPs. Why are you so rattled by this? Doesn't it look weak?
Look, we were elected in to change this country for the better. And that means we've got to carry through that change, and we've got to carry through reforms, because we inherited a broken economy and broken public services. No government has inherited both of those ever before, and I'm determined that we will change this country for the better for millions of working people. And I'm not going to be deflected from that. Therefore, we had to deal with people who repeatedly break the whip, because everyone was elected as a Labour MP on the manifesto of change, and everybody needs to deliver as a Labour government. This is about what we're doing for the country, and that's why I'm so determined to press forward with the reforms and the change that we need to bring about.
What do you think about what he said? In fairness, what do you think about what he said? He said that they were elected
But
on a
what
particular ticket. Huh? Sorry, Gary.
what reforms is he talking about?
No, he's talking. Well, he's got a policy whereby they are being elected on a reform that they want to change. He has a policy of wanting to change up everything in
Can
the
you hear
UK.
me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you very clear. You're very clear. I can hear you very clearly. You asked the question, what reforms? The issue is that the policies
Okay.
of the, the,
Yeah.
the, the, the policies of the Labour Party at the last general election, they were elected on a particular mandate, and therefore they're going through with this mandate. So the question that I'm putting is, should members of parliament be more loyal to the government or to the people who elected them? Where the loyalty lies. Because you have to remember this, Gary. and I was saying it a while ago when you were trying to come in and going out. Most times, based on the trend of a particular time, persons are swept out, right? So the Labour ticket with over 400 that won, they came in on Keir Starmer and the policies. If you remember Boris Johnson, the time when he won, a lot of people from came in on Boris Johnson ticket. Really, so it and many people lost their seats from the Conservative, great MPs, good MPs, and you can also remember at the last local government election as well, a lot of good councillors lost their seat as well, based on the tide, and many won like Reform based on a particular tide of Nigel Farage. So the question is it the people they should be solely loyal to, or should they also be loyal to the government, the ticket that they're under, the Labour ticket, the Conservative ticket, the Reform ticket, the Lib Dem ticket? What's your thoughts on that? You know, I don't, I, don't-
You
I don't know
see,
if you can. Yeah,
it's
go on.
it's a difficult one here because the MPs are elected by the constituents in which they represent, isn't it?
Yeah, by the people. Yes, yes,
Are you hearing me?
yes. I can hear you clearly. We can hear you, Gary. I think something's wrong with your system, but we can hear you. I can hear you clearly.
Okay.
Just keep talking.
So
Yeah. All right.
okay.
Mm. I can hear you.
So therefore, Silver. Yeah. So therefore, Silver. If 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 the if the thing is speaking up on behalf of the constituents which they represent, there should be nothing wrong with that because they're there to speak on behalf of the constituents in Parliament.
Mm.
Now it's okay for the Prime Minister to have his view. I mean, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. But just because an individual does not hold his view does not mean it does not mean that they're against him. And Starmer is taking these things personal.
You think he's taking it?
Starmer is
Mm.
like a dictator. You don't you,
Yeah.
if you can't abide by him, then you are disciplined. I mean, what kind of leader is that?
Yes.
What kind of leader is that, Silver? Tell me. And
Mm.
it seems to me that that is the air of not only what's happening in the British government, but everywhere else. I
Mm.
mean, it's not unique to the British political system. It seems to be happening across the globe. There is something happening amongst those who are in leadership positions that is very dictatorial. There's a spirit of dictatorial bias that that is not right. It's really not right. And
So
I
so therefore, yeah.
and that's what's destroying.
Mm.
That is what's destroying governments.
So therefore,
Go ahead.
that is something then that creates a level of apathy in persons whereby they say it doesn't make sense to vote because these guys are not going to listen to me. Someone just said a while ago on
Exactly.
TikTok. Someone just said on TikTok, Lee Anderson. You know Lee Anderson. He has been with three parties, and the people remain loyal to him. Yes, they remain loyal to him.
All right. Right.
And they said it's a long debating question in British democracy, which they said, which highlight central tensions in representation and party politics. MPs face competing pressures: loyalty to their constituents, those who elect them, and loyalty to the party and government, which ensures political cohesion and enable government to function effectively. Yeah, loyalty to constituents. Is it some of the pros? And I just have it here. To the constituent, direct representation. MPs serve as a voice of their local communities. advocating for specific local needs and grievance. That is why you have some vote which they call a free vote. There's no whip there. You don't have the whip being at them and a tree line whip where they have to vote a particular way. They have those which are conscience votes, and I believe most votes should be conscience. But at the same time, the government was elected on a particular mandate, and therefore they need to be able to carry out their mandate with the majority that they have. One of the pros of loyalty to the constituents is that regular contact and responsiveness foster trust. MPs are directly answerable to voters, which
Okay.
strengthen democracy. But there's also the conflict with party goals. Prioritizing local issues may undermine party discipline and coordinated action, making governance less effective. So, therefore, if we look at it this way, if every MP now and every constituency is saying different things, and then the government is not able to actually carry through certain key policies, you can see, can't you see the difficulty at the same time? It's a balancing act, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, what's the sense then of having MPs if the MPs cannot um, represent their constituents?
Mm,
I mean, what's the point? If
yeah.
the prime minister is just going to make rulings,
Yes.
what's the sense then of having an MP in a constituent that and have surgeries in the constituent, because by having service within a constituency or surgery, it's about hearing what the community is saying and then making representation to parliament. Correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So if the MP then on particular issues which the constituency, they may have strong feelings in regards, whether negatively or positively or whatever. What's the sense then of hearing them to bring it to parliament if the government or if the prime minister is not going to listen? And
Mm,
then and then in one sense, when the MP does make his or her feelings known in regards to what the constituency wants, they're then reprimanded. They're then told, or in the case of Diane Abbott to some extent, let's say, we want to deselect you. I mean, that's not wrong. I mean, that's not right. And
mm,
it seems, as I said before, this kind of governing is not
yes.
just unique to the UK. Now, it may not be in the same fashion or
Mm,
it may not be in the same way done, but there are prime ministers or presidents or chancellors across the globe now, across the globe. I've said chancellor because that is the term that the Germans use, and there may be other terms
yes.
also across the globe. But there
Yes.
are that there are heads of state that will not allow their their parliamentary representatives speak. There's no
Yes.
freedom. And
So
and
so
and
mm,
and what is very clear to me is that even though we say we're living in a
democracy.
democracy and free speech, there isn't, because
Mm,
if you begin to speak differently to those who may be above you in that regard, you're then
you're under
reprimanded.
you're under wrath. You're under wrath. So therefore, I do recall one time Reverend Ian Pesley, the late Reverend Ian Pesley, in Parliament once, and I think he said something, and I think Betty Bouchard wanted him to withdraw it or
Right? Yeah,
rephrase his words or something like that.
I
And
remember that.
and he said, "Listen, I know what you want. I know what you want." And he said this, and he said this: "I've been sent here by the people of Ireland. Of is it not the UP or whatever? I've been sent here by the people, and because of that, I have to speak by what the people want and do what you have to do." And then Betty Bouchard said, "Okay, according to standing order, Ray, um, you are suspended for the rest of the day." But he had that massive respect. because he was standing up for the people. And you're right. It is very important that, and it's a challenge for any new MPs or so, because like the lady there, what's her name, MP Rachel Maskell, what she said something. If I can play what she said here, and you can see her eyes, how she's really cut up about the whole thing. She feel like she's betraying her constituents. She feel like the constituents that she represent, the people that she represent, she feel like she's not able to actually speak up for them. She's been, well, I wouldn't say hung, drawn, and quarter, but somewhat in that respect. Labour MP suspended. Here she is. Um, can you see it? Yeah.
I don't see myself as a rebel. I really focus on supporting a Labour government, but I'm not afraid to debate and to speak up for what's in the interest of my constituents, whether it's about the planet, whether it's about international situations or domestic situations. All of these policy contexts are important. I think where the party needs to move forward is to think, how do we debate within ourselves and ensure that our true Labour values are really upheld in all those circumstances?
Yeah. So what she's saying, she's one of those persons who was suspended for MPs from Labour over repeated breaches of the party discipline. There's Neil Duncan, Jordan, Brian Leishman, Chris Hincliffe, Rachel Maskell. They're whip removed. They will sit as independents, for a period of time. And the other and also just to let you point out, MPs Rosanna Alenkan, Belrabir Ade, she's a black MP, and Mohammed Yassin have been stripped of their trade envoy roles. It comes in after all four of the suspended MPs and the former trade envoys voted against the government's welfare reform bill early this month. In all, this is what I said, 47 Labour MPs rebelled against the government proposed cuts to welfare and forced ministers to water down the plans. And right there, and this is correct, the rebellion undermined Sir Keir's authority, which was weakened after a series of policy reversals, such as restoring the winter allowance to the millions of pensioners. I want to say he's an unalive man walking. I'm not going to say the other word because I'm on TikTok is listening. So I say he's an unalive man walking at this rate, because I think Keir Starmer is feeling somewhat threatened, feeling somewhat losing his level of authority. So he's an unalive man walking. And Kemi Badenoch has been having him for mincemeat. As a matter of fact, Gary, I've been looking at Kemi Badenoch and I've been saying that she's growing. She's growing in that position. I don't know what you think. What do you think about that? She's growing in her position, Gary. She's becoming like a
Well,
Rottweiler.
yeah, I mean, she's doing well. She's holding her own, and I think it's a Starmer. Anybody well, to tell you the truth, anybody I think that would stand before him would do well because Starmer is not helping the situation.
Yes.
He hasn't got a good team behind him. To tell you the truth, I think he needs to
Yes.
step down. The Chancellor needs to step down. I even think that the deputy he is not strong. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
You mean the Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner?
Yeah, yeah.
I think Angela Rayner the other day, I think she sort of showed her hand because when Rachel Reeve was crying, I think they said they look at a comparison, and she looked a bit more very somewhat elated in a certain respect, in the whole scheme of things. But anyway, 16 and 17-year-olds are to be able to vote in the next general election. What's your take on that? 16 and 17-year-old.
No, I mean, I kind of laughed at that. I kind of laughed at that.
Well, you don't have any confidence. You don't have any confidence in the young people.
What can a 16 and a 17-year-old know and about work, about life, and about what they ought to vote for? Tell me. No, I'm not putting it down, but they don't know. They know nothing about life, and then at the same time, you've got I'm sure they're thinking of even lowering it even further than that, isn't it? Isn't there
Really?
some comments about that? Now, I mean, listen, would you put a 16-year-old in charge of um of your household?
Well, there's an 18-year-old chap who is in charge of some billions of pounds in for a MP, a councillor position on the reform.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't judge that for a whole for the whole country. You can't do that.
Mm.
It's like putting a 16-year-old to be prime minister. Would you have a 16-year-old to be prime minister?
So I guess your point is saying that once someone is able to vote and they're on the electoral list, they should be in a position as well to run as an MP.
Well, they could,
They
you
they
might
should.
as well say that. You might as well say that.
Mm,
You might as well say that. I mean, if you have a 16-year-old who can vote, you might as well say the 16-year-old can get married.
mm,
You might as well say that. Now I know you do have 16 some 16-year-olds who are mature.
yes.
But what does maturity entail? What is the meaning of maturity? Tell me. Before you go
Mm.
on to that, what is the meaning of maturity?
Well, well,
How do you quantify maturity?
yes. Well, maturity would be someone having some level of experience, some life experience, some undertaking life chances, life having risk, and know something. And it is not something to do just with, okay, I'm 18 out of all these different experiences. I believe a level of years of being on this earth which would be a level of quantity or qualifying such a person. They don't have to have a child, but they have a level of responsibility because, as someone was saying earlier, that uh, having young people voting, yeah, people have now to get them out of bed and say you need to vote and all those sort of things. People are saying that one of the reasons why this is being pushed is because most young people tend not to vote for the conservative. Well, actually, they are more leaning towards reform. There are more persons going for Labour, more persons going for Green, or so. So in a way, they are pushing it because it would benefit that sort of thinking in a way. I am not one who would say at this time that I would support that because for someone to drive a car, they have to be 18. Am I right? Yeah. You know, for, so the 16 and 17, sometimes you don't know where these things are coming from. Even like with all some of these laws or some which you have no idea where it's actually coming from. Where's the source of it? How did it actually reach on the books? Where did it reach into Parliament? To be who devised it? You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's all politically motivated. All
Mm,
of what they do is politically motivated, and I just think that the motives is wrong. I think there is something inherently wrong with how life in general is going. You
yes.
know, I just think that's where. Well, I mean, you
Mm,
if
mm,
if if they're complaining about an 18-year-old being in charge of a council that is
yes.
that has millions of pounds in which he has to um,
Mm,
account for to some extent,
yes.
and they're fussing about that, but yet they want to be able to get a 16-year-old. Well, if you're going to get someone who is 16 that you believe has the ability to vote, then that individual, if that individual then comes in and says, well, they want to run as councillor, you can't
You
stop
can't
them.
you can't stop them because they're on the voters list.
Exactly. And then
Mm,
if they get into the council or local government, and then what happened to that young man in him he didn't run to be the leader of the council, but it fell in his lap.
It fell in his
Then
lap. Yes.
obviously, if a 16-year-old gets into that, you can't tell the 16-year-old that he can't be the leader of the council. You can't do that because he's already on the electoral roll, and by fact
By
that he's
virtue.
by
Mm.
virtue that he is at the age of consent,
Yes.
and he is then seen as an adult.
Yes.
You can't. They can take you to court, man.
Yes. By virtue of the fact that they're on the rotor, on the list.
Yeah.
And yeah, grow up quickly. Well, listen, let's listen to Kemi. Let's listen to I'm sort of watching Kemi Badenoch these last days and see uh how she's actually navigating how things are. Let's listen to her a bit.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, the head of the OBR warned the government that higher and higher levels of taxes are bad for growth. Does the Prime Minister agree?
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, it's bad for growth. 14 years of a Tory government. That's what the stagnant growth for 14 years, leaving a £22 billion black hole. What we've achieved, Mr. Speaker, in the first quarter of this year is the highest growth in the G7, something we promised before the election. Investment of £120 billion into this country, which is a record in the first year of any government, and 3 trade deals, all of which will boost growth.
Mr. Speaker, he's talking about what he achieved. We just heard that inflation is up again, the worst in the G7. We left him with 2% inflation. We have borrowing up, unemployment up, taxes are up under his government. The fact is the Prime Minister doesn't get it, so let me tell him. His budget last year had high taxes. That's why the economy is contracting. But, Mr. Speaker, the government has said that they won't put up taxes for people on modest incomes. But they also seem incapable of explaining who is in that category. So can the Prime Minister clear up the confusion and tell us what he thinks a modest income is?
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I think of the working people across this country who put in every day and don't get back what they deserve, and that's who we're working for. That's who we're fixing the country. The sort of people that work hard but haven't necessarily got the savings to buy themselves out of problems. And Mr. Speaker, that's who we're working for, and that's why we put the national living wage up. That's an extra £1,400. The national minimum wage up. That's £2,500 a year. The triple lock, Mr. Speaker, that went up pension up £470. And of course, we're extending childcare, opening free breakfast clubs and free school meals. We know exactly who we're working for. She comes here every week and just talks the country down.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not talking the country down, I'm talking him down. I asked him what a modest income was. He answered what a working person is. He doesn't know what a modest income is. And even on working people, they cannot define it. The Chief Secretary to the Treasury said that working people are people who don't get a payslip. But millions of self-employed people don't get a payslip. So are the self-employed next in line for a Labour tax rate?
Gary, she's getting a lot of what should I say, chances, open goals to really go for it. I think she's having Keir Starmer rattled. And when you know he's rattled is when he keeps coming back to say 14 years of mismanagement. How long he's gonna keep saying 14 years? Is 1 year is gone now, Is it 1 year? 1 year.
Yeah, but that's the first thing. That's the first thing he says.
Yes.
14 years and the 22 billion. Is it big? 22
Yeah,
billion
22
pounds.
billion black hole.
I mean, this guy, he doesn't have a clue of what's going on. He doesn't have, and then he doesn't mention, about the is it 5 billion or 5 million pound hole that he has to that the chancellor has to find because taxes is going up again because remember they wanted to cut. They wanted to cut the what is it now? The welfare.
The welfare and nothing really happened in a sense because they had to really appease the vote, and that's why they are sort of having these whips and reprimanding their own members.
You
So
see, he doesn't have any legs to stand on, so he has to bring up the past. He has to bring
yeah,
up the past. He has to divert. He has to throw, as they would say, smoke bombs off to get the people's
mm,
attention away from the points that Kemi is bringing, because he doesn't
yes,
have a leg to stand on.
yes, yeah. It's very interesting, and we'll see how it develops. But before you came on, you mentioned on the international scene. Before we go, you mentioned on. I don't want you to say I always do this whenever things are getting very heated. I'm not going to say I'm not saying I'm going. I'm shutting down or our show is finishing. But you had some point to say that things are happening on the international scene. Out there. It's not
Yeah,
just what's
well, I
happening in
mean,
the UK. Things are happening on internet. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there there are some significant things that are taking place around
Mm.
around that around the globe today or in our time. I mean, when you look at, I mean, you have, well, there's too much for you really to mention, but just to or to
Yes.
talk about depth really, because
Mm.
uh, the German Chancellor, as you know, and Staumer, they met, and the British government as well as the German government is making a step towards forming a greater and a bigger alliance between the two countries more than since 1945, I believe. Yeah,
Yes.
um, and such. Then you have the Middle East, which Syria. I mean, Syria is being bombed and has been attacked by Israel. I
Mm.
mean, the Jewish community and what Jelani, I think that's his name, is having to
Yes.
face, because he's really in a tight corner, because he's trying to court the world and the political world. He's trying to keep America online. He wants to be involved in the Abraham Accords, but yet still on the other hand, he's trying to attack Israel. Trying
Yeah.
to get at Israel really by and through the Jews. So there is so much happening there, and even in Iran, I mean, the war there or the fighting there is still continuing, even though they may not be attacked by the air by the Israelis, but it is said, it is alleged that Mossad agents are in Iran. They're still assassinating
Yes.
much of the regime's heads departments there, as
Yeah.
well as disrupting the way of life there. So there's a lot happening in the Middle East that we're not really being told straight off by the main news medias.
Mm.
So there's a lot there going on still. There's a lot going on still, and I think that we've got to really be aware of what's taking place. We have to be aware.
And I'm not saying we got to go, but there's also the other thing regarding lots of companies are being hacked.
Yes,
Lots of companies
yes,
are being hacked right before our
yes.
eyes. I mean, the co-op thing really got me worried because I know I recently got one of these co-op cards, just like how you got the Tesco card, you got the Nectar card as well, and now the co-op card,
Right.
you know, and guys are saying if you don't pay over a certain amount of bitcoins or so, you know, they're going to be doing things and put it on the dark web, people's details. Very concerning, Gary. Very, very
It's frightening.
concerning. You know.
Yeah, it's frightening of what's happening out there. There doesn't really seem to be any or much control, even though the
Yeah.
governments are saying that, well, there are things in place, but there doesn't really seem to be anything in place to
Yeah.
safeguard people's
And
private affairs or monies,
yeah.
whatever it is that is being lost.
And if persons want is just to have an idea of the notable leaks which has taken place and which is happening is that Marks and Spencer ransomware attack, April 2025. operations of the retail giant were severely um, disrupted, leading to suspended online. Customers were advised to reset passwords. But for that, I don't have a MS Marks Spencer account. Attack was linked to the Scattered Spider hacker group, costing Marks and Spencer up to 300 million in lost profit. The co-op, April again, personal data of around 6.5 million members, including names, contact details. No wonder, Gary, sometimes I get these calls sometimes. People calling, so where you get this number from? You know what I'm trying to say? It doesn't make sense. You actually, the other day I saw, I got a missed call, and I said, let me call the number back, which is something you're not supposed to do. Anyway, I called the number back, and they said, hi, is this Silburn? And I instantly said, yes, ready to speak to somebody. And tell me it was somebody I know. Guess what? It was actually a recording. It's like it fabricated it through AI, blah, 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 recognizing numbers, synchronize it. And it's like somebody saying, hi, is this Silburn? Yeah, they say, yeah. you know? And then there's a Harrod, there's a Harrod's bit. Sorry, Gary, you're saying?
No, I'm just saying it's frightening. It's very
Yeah.
frightening.
The Harrods bit, cyber attack led to restricted internet. Oxford City Council as well. Uh, Thousands of Afghan secretly removed. You know about that bit there regarding the sensitive data leak. But with that particular data
Yeah.
leak, what happened, I understand, was MOD member sent it by mistake or so. So that was a sensitive data leak to the secret resettlement of thousands of Afghans. So that wasn't really like a hack. But the question is, where has it gone to? You get what I'm trying to say? And even the legal aid commissioner, so having that sort of issue as well. You know what I'm trying to say? Which is holding off some payments for persons who are using the legal aid thing. So it's a troubling time now. And with AI, with the whole thing, guess what they're saying about AI, Gary? The thing about AI now is just like when you have security guards, yeah? You got security guards who are standing outside a building or whatever. You're gonna have no anybody that you know, any young person studying, tell them to go into cybersecurity. Because all these AI things which are happening now, you're going to have a security guard. And that's a cybersecurity. It's a new era. We're in this new era. We're in this new era. Yeah, so the cybersecurity person is going to be the bouncers. That's the bouncers there as well. So
Yes.
it is a very interesting time that we are stepping into, and and I believe one of the best ways to fight it, one of the best ways to get around it, one of the best ways to know about it, is actually to understand what these things are, to be a part of artificial intelligence, know what is happening, because when it happens, as I was speaking to someone last night, Gary, what they say is that you'd be surprised somebody using your voice and doing things.
True.
They start to capture
Oh
your
no, no,
voices.
that's.
You
I
know.
mean, they could. I've said it for quite some time now
Mm,
that they could they could put your image in a
yes.
particular picture or
Mm,
in a particular video. They could
yeah.
have your voice all over the place, and it will be if you don't know how to go about it, you cannot refute it because it
Yeah.
sounds like you, it looks like you. It may even look as if you were in the place that they say that you were in, but you've never been there.
Well. Also,
And that
yeah, it could even smell like you.
it's a terrible thing.
Mm,
It's a terrible thing.
yeah, that's the era. That's the era that we're in now, and persons will have to recognize and understand these things as much as possible. Well, Gary, well, at least you didn't say that I was shutting it down. We went over there. Yeah.
I have nothing to say on that matter tonight.
But I'm sure, I'm sure that your oh, by the way, I don't know if you heard, it's some breaking news that just came in a while ago while I was online about there's a an accident. There's been an accident in Somerset. A child has died. Um, just recently, some crash. Some police say one child dead and one child unalive, and others injured in Minehead school coach crash. So like when children goes off and they send the children off to an event or so with teachers. Yeah, that's an unfortunate thing, as well.
Mm.
Mm. Won't touch on Trump. A
And
lot of
this
things that
happened to
yeah, that happened today. That happened today. It was 3 o'clock today. Somerset. Around 3 o'clock. Avon and Somerset police say between 60 and 70 people were on the coach at the time, which was headed to a school in Minehead. Paramedics says
mm.
21 of those on board were taken to hospital for treatment. Several, and I don't know if you know what's happening in Jamaica. There are lots of developments there. They haven't called the election yet. People are still waiting for this election to be called. I was having some discussion with some persons recently, and some of them were labor leaning. And one of them said very carefully, he said, Silver, I think they need to have a call for election because people are getting a bit disenchanted. People are getting a bit, there's a tension in the air, and they just need to call it as soon as possible. The election is constitutionally due on September the 3rd. September the 3rd. Don't know what the Prime Minister is waiting for, or maybe he's trying to live out as much as he can, as well, and things like that. So that's how it is. So yeah, Gary. So let's say have a good night, and if you want to, uh, oh, by the way, I went on TikTok again. I was suspended for 7 days, but it's back because somebody said some things in my TikTok, and I created a backup account, Gary. I created a backup account, and within 3 days, I was able to go live on that account. Just 50. So therefore, we need to get you to 50, Gary. What's going on? Everybody, subscribe to Gary's live. Preacher Man live. Yeah,
I may
50.
have to, I mean, I may have to do something. I don't know. I don't know why it's not going.
Yeah, we didn't, and someone was saying, "Oh, you need to get 1,000." So, and then somebody said, "No, actually, in some parts of the world, it's 1,000, but within 50 days, within 50, less than 50 followers, I was able to go live on that account. So I got a backup one now, just in case if anything happens, as well. So you need what 30? What you need now? 49 more.
Just put it out on your TikTok. Just put it out on your TikTok, and if the numbers grow, then that's fine.
Well, we're gonna do that. I'm just gonna jump over on TikTok right now, and we look for you. And if anything, anybody come on, I'm gonna say, everybody, like the preacher man, definitely. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Gary, have a good one, and we have a good one,
All
and
right,
we'll
my
talk. Yeah.
friend.
Yes. Okay. Good.
Yeah,
Well,
we'll
ladies
talk.
and gentlemen,
Bless you.
thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining tonight. The in review, looking at some of the top news or some of the breaking news out there, which is very important and which is so crucial at this time. Normally, I always talk about Jamaica, but it's good to talk about what's happening in the UK and what's happening internationally as well. Okay, so all the best and God bless you. Remember to like and subscribe. Remember to follow. Thank you for those on Instagram. Thank you for those on TikTok. Thank you for those on Facebook. Thank you for those on YouTube as well. On Instagram, Tolalot, Sibandap, Sue Riley. Thank you so much, and for TikTok as well, as much as possible. Peace out. God bless you. Bye bye.